Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. This is Kathy, and today I'll be creating a Z-Fold Slimline card using quite a few different products. I'll be using the recently released Slimline Vertical Sentiments set, the Happy Everything set, Happy Hamsters stamp set, the Tag and Bookmark Die Set, the card builder die set, I'll just be using the big piece from that, and then the Slimline birthday scallop die set. I started out by running the big bookmark tag through my die cutting machine with a piece of white cardstock. Then I stamped the largest balloon from the Happy Everything stamp set in a minty green colored ink. Then I took the medium-sized balloon and stamped that, overlapping the mint green colored balloons. And for that I used a turquoisey colored ink, and the second balloon I didn't get a very good impression, so I had to line it up and hope for the best that I was able to stamp right on top of it. Once I was done with the turquoisey colored balloons, I used the smallest balloon from the Happy Everything set, and I stamped that in a nice vibrant royal blue color ink. For the balloon strings, I chose to use a gray ink rather than a black ink because I wanted them to be noticeable, but I didn't want them to be so stark, especially because I knew that I would be stamping my sentiment over those balloons. When I stamped the balloon strings, I kind of tilted it left and right so they would cross over a little bit, especially on the larger balloons. For the smallest balloon, I used a smaller string stamp, which I actually think might be confetti, but it actually worked out well to be a little balloon string. Once I was done with stamping the balloons, I put my stamped bookmark into my MISTI, and I lined up the birthday stamp from the Slimline Vertical Greetings stamp set. I inked that up in the same bright royal blue ink that I used for the smallest balloon. And I did stamp the sentiment a couple of times just to make sure that I got a really good impression. Once I was done with the stamping, I started to work on my card base, which started out at 8.5 by 7 inches. And with the 7-inch side at the top of your scoreboard, you want to score at 1 3/4 inches and at 3.5 inches. When I am doing scoring, I tend to fold on my scored lines both ways. So I'll fold it back and then I'll fold it forward. To create the Z-Fold card, you're going to fold your card in half on the 3.5-inch score line like you would if you were making just a regular one-fold card. Then for the score line at 1 3/4 inches, you're going to fold that back so that turns into a mountain fold. And that's how you create the Z-Fold. Next, I stamped the sentiments from the Happy Hamster stamp set on the inside of the card, and I used the same gray ink that I had used before the balloon strings. And since there's so much space on the inside of the card, I decided to use 5 of the buildable sentiments that are part of the Happy Hamsters stamp set. After I had the sentiment stamped, I set that aside, and I started to tie all the ribbons onto my bookmark. I took a piece of royal blue ribbon and I threaded it through the back of the bookmark and then looped it up, so I guess it's a slip knot. And I made sure that I tightened it pretty well, but I had to be careful not to pull too hard since I didn't use a brad or anything to reinforce the top of the tag. So it was pretty much just a matter of wiggling and jiggling and gently pulling until it was tight enough. Now I did stamp the word happy onto a small tag that I die cut using the Bookmark and Tag Die Set, and I threaded a piece of blue and white baker's twine, and then I tied a knot up at the top so that there would be that loop. Then I put that over one of the pieces of the royal blue ribbon, and to make sure my little happy tag stayed in place, I used another piece of blue and white baker's twine and tied it around both strands of the royal blue ribbon. And then I just pulled the tails until I had the bow at the right size, and then I trimmed off the excess with my scissors. I used the scallop frame from the Slimline Birthday Scallop die, and I die cut that from a piece of royal blue cardstock, and I used liquid glue to adhere that to a piece of mint green cardstock. And I die cut the mint green cardstock from the Card Builder die set. The Card Builder die set really is a staple because most of the other slimline dies fit perfectly right on top of that. Next, it was time to adhere that panel to the front of my Z-Fold card. And when adhering the panel to the front of the card, make sure that you only put adhesive on the left-hand side. Otherwise, you'll end up gluing your card closed. Once I had that adhered to the front of the card, I added some foam tape to the back of my bookmark. I found it easiest to have the card open to put my bookmark in place. The one thing that you want to pay attention to is where your little happy tag is, because I almost adhered mine behind the tag. Luckily, I didn't press it down too much, so I was able to pull it out and put it back on the front. To finish up the inside, since I had so much space at the bottom, I decided to color the little hamster with the cupcake, which I did do the coloring off camera, but I'll make sure to list those Copics over on my blog, which I'll link to down below. I just used my tape runner to adhere that little guy on the inside of the card, and then I added some sparkle to the candle flame as well as his little party hat. And that's it. That finishes up my card for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not yet subscribed, we'd love it if you would. And don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.